Good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning, wherever you are. You don't miss us?
I do miss us. Konnichiwa,
Welcome to Eye on the Economy with your hosts.
Colin John Jenkins, the architect this time around, and Petra.
Petra, the spectator, because they're talking construction, and you know that means it's pure problems to me. All I just want is a house to live in. Okay? All right. And with us today, we have a phenomenal guest whom Colin will introduce.
Yes, Mr. Austin Vouzan. Vouzan, how are you doing?
I'm enjoying my life.
You enjoying your life?
Yes.
Okay, I like that. And for the audience, of course, they don't know who Mr. Austin Vouzan is. I mean, a lot of people in Pickett's knows about Austin Vouzan, but
And he want to tell me minutes. But no, he.
you know you right. Okay.
Well, of course, I'm from Pickett's. I've been in the construction industry over 40 years. And so most people don't know me by Austin. Most people know me by Vouzan, because everybody referred to me as Vouzan from the construction perspective. So, you know,
You mean to say you are 5 years shy of, well, I'm 45 now, so just imagine this guy's been...
No comments on ages today.
Okay, all right, cool.
over 40 years.
Wow. So that means you've probably seen a lot in Antigua and Barbuda.
Yes.
And that's something, of course, that I would like to really, pull or extract from you in terms of your knowledge, especially what we see happening now in Antigua in terms of the infrastructure works, the housing boom, the housing need.
So we're not going to talk about roads?
The infrastructure works.
Because you don't like Alston's road. That the rest of us don't want to know.
Vouzan,
Hey.
you just let me know when we're crossing the line, right? You understand? Right. But anyway, that's just a sidebar. But on a serious note, yes, infrastructure meaning the roads, some of the government facilities and backup
It's
plans.
not all Antigua people know that when you say infrastructure, you mean roads.
Right. So, we're talking about anything related to construction outside the actual building itself. Curbs and drains, roads, these kind of facilities and amenities, you name it. And we wanted to get, of course, your thoughts on some of these matters because this is eye on the economy. And we both know construction affects the economy directly. And we were having some sidebar discussions about that before we started the program. And I think an interesting point to start would be, tell us a bit about your experience in construction, some of the places you would have worked, and then we can go into some of the...
Well, most of my working experience, apart from being on my own, was with Roberts Construction. I was there with Doran and Cage when they constructed the new airport, not the one that is there now, the one before that.
Really?
Yes.
The one before that,
The first international...
the yellow building.
Painted yellow, yes.
Wow.
So I was there. I was mainly in charge of the area where the two towers constructed, yes. And
I think one of those towers are still in use, you know?
yeah, well, it's like a twin tower.
Right.
One is an elevator and one is a step. So you have the step in one area and you have the elevator in the other area. Well, I was assigned to that particular area. So everything that was going up there, I had to manage. And the main tower, I was actually in charge to have the one that put it up at the first instance. They have since changed and put up a new one.
Yeah.
But I was the one that was there, assigned to that particular project.
Wow.
And then the company went liquidate, and then he come back in Roberts Construction. Yeah, there. And I spent, around Robert, I spent about 7 years in the first instance. And then before that, I used to work for Central Housing.
Chopper.
Yes.
Before what? Before, like, what year, roughly,
working
estimate?
With
Before the
Robert.
airport?
Yes, before the airport. I'm 72 years of age. I may not look so, but...
I thought you told me you was in the 60s.
No, the coconut oil fooled me.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been around for...
So Chopper was around.
That chapel was located where I think the Treasury,
Building.
not the Treasury building, is the Treasury building? No. You know, where Dr. Simon, in that street with
Met
Dr.
Park,
Simon,
Seminary
Met Park,
Street,
at the
yeah.
corner, on your right hand corner, if you're coming up, right at the corner, the chapel was
Where
right.
Treasury is now.
That's where Treasury is.
Yes.
I thought so, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, the chapel was located right there. And chapel, they used to do the surveying, they used to have the surveying department right there too. As you have chapel, they used to call it, where you used to refer to it as housing.
Housing.
Yes. And so I was there.
And what you did when you were there? Just general construction?
No, I was working for chapel as a carpenter there. I was one of the foreman in the area.
Okay. What y'all used to do then?
We used to do, you know, they had the housing project that was in Table Garden, in Pickett's, in Otters, those small houses, the 10 by 20, 10 by 20.
I never knew about the
Liberty
table
was
hill
a village, yeah. Liberty had any?
Table, yes.
That's Table, okay, the
Yeah,
back.
Table
Okay.
Garden in the back.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. I didn't know that.
So we used to go on and we used to, anything that chopper is in charge of, if there's a problem, we used to go and do maintenance. And we used to, you know, chopper used to be responsible to build houses and people land the same way too.
So this
In a small scale.
housing construction is long time.
Long
Okay.
time. And so I was a part of that.
Any idea how many were built back then?
I know they had about 10 or 20 in Pickett's.
In different areas, and there was some in Parham too, I think, right?
I don't know of those in Parham. Those that in Parham is the set that came after
So
that.
these are before the ones in Parham?
Yes. So the set that are there now is like where you have about 50 in Parham, I think,
Yes.
25 in Pickett's,
Yes.
and about 50 in Potters. Those are the last.
Those are the last set of that early.
but yeah, of that time.
So the early ones that you're familiar with.
Early one was 10 by 20.
Yes.
The second set was 20 by 20 with a 4 feet gallery.
Back patio,
Yeah.
gallery area. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first ones were 10 by 20.
Yes.
10 by 20, 200 square feet.
Mhm.
What-
200 square.
What is in that?
And the next one is
What is in that? One bedroom and one bathroom?
A family of 4.
family.
No. I want to know what was
No,
inside.
sometimes more family, more people inside there.
She's trying to figure out where the
No,
closet went,
let
where
me
the
tell you.
tables went.
Even then,
Okay.
that was a tremendous improvement.
Okay. I can imagine. Well, I can't imagine, but I can imagine.
This, I raised in a house.
Mhm.
Okay, let me tell you. My mother used to call knot by knot,
Yeah, I've heard that term before.
right? Because it was less than the sheet of a plywood.
See,
A plywood is 4 feet
8.
by 8 feet. Our house was 4 feet by 6 feet.
so when you watch it,
So when you put in the bed, those time, you know, you got the cut with the spring
Yes.
and 2 end. You have to put in this end first, put in the next end, and then fit the other one because it cannot just build up and go inside.
And how many people live in this? Not
No, we have come a very long way.
I know, but back then, how many people lived in the Not by Not? That sorry.
It's me and 3 of us, my mother and 3 of us.
Okay.
Yes, and you know, we used to live downstairs.
need the bed.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming.
Yeah, you understand? But
That's
you know,
incredible, though.
no, yeah, and so come on. When people talk about what is happening in Antigua, whether Antigua improve or not, it's because some people don't understand the history of what went on. Right? You talk about trash house, whatnot, things like that, and so even then the construction industry was active. Because anything named house came under construction. And so the construction, you know, from way back into Egypt, you know, and you used to have what you call, we at one time we said journeyman, the master builder. Master builder. Have the architect in him, the engineer in him,
Everything.
the project manager in
all in
him.
one.
He's all in one. He's the go-to man. He do everything.
So a question, just so our audience get some deep perspective. So you are 72 years old.
Yes.
You started working about what age?
No, I started learning my trade at the age of 13.
Oh, okay.
13.
As an apprentice.
Yes. Started learning my trade.
And so when you talk about you used to work with the Ministry of Housing as a foreman, about how old were you then?
23, 24. Wow, that is.
2 minus that is in the 50s? No, I got back to, I can't count. That's in the 70s.
I'm 72 now.
Yes, okay. So just to give people an idea, so back then we had the 10 by 20,
10 by 20.
and then we're moving up to the 20 by 20.
Yeah, it was by 20 by.
And just for the record, for clarity, I am the economy. These were mostly catering for our low-income people who were transitioning
Social
into
housing.
better housing, social housing developed by the government.
That's
Okay.
the first set of house, the 10 by 20 was the first set of house that built. When the first set of house built, I was not working at housing
Right.
then. Okay? I was
Okay,
still
that's
going
the
to school.
experience.
Yeah, I was still going to school
Okay.
in the first set of house.
You've piqued my curiosity, Vouzan. What were, and I know maybe this is kind of awkward, but what were the roads like back then?
Road?
Yes, because I'm bringing this up because there's an old photo I saw of St. John's City, and there was no asphalt, right?
No, it's
but
just
it was
stone.
stone,
Stone.
but somehow they look very smooth.
It's Stone Road. Stone Road. Whenever it rained,
It was-
though I say I'm from Pickets, you used to have like, if you understand the history of Pickets, you used to have what you call husband village, and then you have Pickets.
Pickets, yeah.
So when you start the entry from down Burma Road area, you come into husband village until when you get up on the rising on top the hill, right? The Pickets start from there.
Okay.
So I was from the first, yes.
Right.
Okay, and so when the rain came, all the water from up there flow right down there, man. Water like crazy, right? But it's stone. It's no,
Like just free flows.
yeah. And then they start to build concrete road.
First.
They build the concrete road. Old Palm Road from down by Deeds was concrete road. Come straight up until when you get to St. Mark's Drive, if you know.
Yes, that's the Mark Street. But
Yeah, when you get to St. Mark's.
the back road.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's what we now call the back road.
Right. Yeah. When you get to St. Mark's Drive,
Right.
they were concrete. Come right up. I remember vividly, Public Works wanted to build it, and how they used to build it. They used to, separate those side cars. There's no concrete chalk.
Guys mixed right there.
Yes.
So it's drastically different than what you've seen now?
Wait. You jumped too far.
No, the concrete road is still there now.
Also, they've paved
But they
over it.
only put, because it started to give crack and different things, they put the asphalt over
Over
it.
it.
But the concrete, if you clean out the asphalt, is the concrete still on it? Yeah.
So now that you mentioned that, so that back road goes all the way up, and then after a while, it gives way and it's very bumpy. You can see like something was there before, so that's the concrete falling out
Yeah.
when you go further up the road.
When you get further from the back road,
Right.
no, that was a stone road.
Also, it's
Because
so
remember,
that way so clean.
because Canefield used to be in that particular
Right.
area over there, so it's what we call a barricade. But so it's a back road to Param. So then you pick up and you go, right? Because we have estate on either side, and you have Blackman Estate and so forth.
You can still hike it, eh?
It's
Oh.
Yes.
Canefield was on the side up there. Even going down Old Palm Road, where you see from Deeds come up, it was Canefield and
Right.
Yeah, on the side.
So now back to what Colin asked now to get a good, that's an excellent history there. Now, so they used to have the stone road, then you say they had the so they concrete that,
Yeah.
and then they come back now and they put the asphalt
Yes.
on it.
Yes.
So how does that compare to, because now they would have put in new roads where they were never stone and concrete before.
Where there was stone and where
The-
Stone was out.
So nowadays,
yeah.
It's either concrete or
it's
asphalt.
either concrete or asphalt that they're putting in now. You see any difference in how have you observed any differences in how they prepare the road now compared to back then?
Well, yes.
Just curious observation.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's a mixture of things because I feel that what we're getting for road in some instance is because of who they choose to build a road,
Okay.
right? And so you work from what you know. You operate from your knowledge.
What do you mean you work from nothing?
Yes, because if you don't know, you don't. If you don't know how to do something, you can't do it. If you can't build a radio, if you don't know how to build a radio, you can't build a radio. And so you operate from your knowledge. And so at one point I went on a job. Person have a steel, a strip footing with the steel turned upside down. And I asked, why the steel is like this? And the person called a reference to say, well, this
That's
is
how he
how
taught.
this is how we learn it.
Okay.
Right? And they were convincing me that's how. And then when I said, well, no, it's the wrong way. And the guy said, the other reference said, well, you know, that's what they taught us, but I get to find out that it's different now, so I don't do it so now. But the other one never get the idea. So all these years, he's been doing that because that's what he know.
What they said, not because you've been doing it right, doing it a particular
All the time.
that means it's
That right. That's what he know.
Yeah.
So we operate based on our knowledge.
All right.
When you get to understand something, then you can go do something different, you know. And so that's why it's very important for self-development, no matter whatever aspect of life that you.
They're engineers and they're
No.
construction people.
But then if you have political alliance, somebody may come and say, Colin, just handpick Colin to do a road because
Yeah, it's our money spending.
that's
So even though you have the political
Yeah.
alliance, you should still know what you're doing.
that
That's how it's-
under a good system, that is what should really happen. But when you handpick somebody and you build a road that is almost worse than when it was not there, that you're jumping like that on a new road. I mean, it's an insult to the contractors in this country because the proper people, the right people with the real competence, does not get the work.
I'm glad that you started to touch on some of the things that are concerning to you or that you've seen that may be worrisome. We're talking about infrastructure, which is roads, etc. But in terms of even housing, what are some of the things that you've noticed?
Oh, again, lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge. People are properly trained. You go on the construction job as a laborer, and you seems to be like a handy, and so people pull you on and teach you something. As soon as you learn to cut,
You gone and
you become a contractor. Okay, you don't know how to do proper estimate,
Oh boy.
right? And so you don't. We gave a gentleman a job to be a general foreman some time ago. And we gave that gentleman a job because the gentleman always been working in construction, a big construction company for years. And so we thought that, hey, with his experience of this, he's the right man for the job. And he didn't know how to splice a half-inch steel.
But how did he get the job to be the general foreman?
Well, because assumption in construction, there's a huge amount of assumption.
Can I jump in here to say this, Petra? I think one of the challenges with what Vouzan is mentioning is that the system is not established that you have accreditation.
Yeah.
So if you, let's say you want a carpenter to do something at home, there's nothing that says if somebody comes to you that they are, have gone.
I understand that. But what Mr. Vouzan is saying is that they, the people who are over the project,
Yeah.
who have the experience and the competence, assessed this person who they would have been seen working for some time
Yes,
Yeah.
and assumed that he was
he would be able to.
competent.
Yes.
We never asked him if he know how to.
So then-
I'll assume that he
Good.
know how to splice a half-inch steel.
So I'm going to take you back now with $1 million question. I'm not devil's advocating this month. How do you know that where we are saying that it's political affiliation alone that caused the problem?
No, I don't say that alone.
No, I'm just saying.
It's part of it.
Is it that, yes, you may have been a comrade or a brother, because it's either one,
Mm.
or a comrade or a sister.
Mm.
Hey, let's give sisters construction projects. Or
Yeah,
only
we
brothers?
have women in construction.
No, that manage at that level.
We do have
Okay.
one or two.
So
Yeah, yeah.
let's say that it could have been that there was a presumption in the same way that they were competent enough to do the work.
Yeah, but some of these guys never build a full house in their life.
Okay, so back to the where you were.
Hold on. Before we dash off from that, I think it's also important to note that some people may follow. You give them an instruction, tell them cut the wood, and they cut it. Give them the task, and they don't know where to start.
Yes.
That is also a problem to
No, I understand, but I'm just saying that
Yeah.
because, like you said,
No, but
sometimes
where you
it could have
coming
been
from?
innocently.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know where you're coming from, but some of these people
Yeah, that never been a folk.
don't have a history of building anything.
Agreed.
With this guy, he was working in the industry for
Right.
several years, and so we assume
He was a good
that
friend.
by now he should have known that.
And so, what do you do in situations like that?
And here what happened, the embarrassing thing that was, we were moving around on the construction site, engineer, consultants, and so forth. And one of the worker asked this guy, how are we supposed to splice this steel? He said, 12 inches, 12 inches. So he said, 12 inches? And so the guy turned to me and asked, I said, Vouzan, how you splice half inch steel? I said, 40 times its diameter. He said, exactly. Okay, so if you use that as a rule of thumb, any steel you have, it is 40 times its diameter.
Also, there's that standard
Yes.
rule that applies.
But the other gentleman doesn't know.
You can't go wrong.
Right.
But
Or maybe you only accustomed to splice one type of steel.
and a lot of people on the job, they don't ask questions. And if you once you give them, tell them, cut this 2 feet and tie it there, they just do that. But when a situation, a scenario come up that they have similar situation, they don't know what to do. They don't know whether or not you should really, what you should do here, because nobody there to say cut it 2 feet and put it there. And so you have a lot of people that they don't see themselves developing as somebody better in what they do. Every architect, every engineer that I work around have to answer me.
What do you mean?
Because I'm asking questions. If you do this, and I've never seen it before, I'm asking, why is it done? And what's the rule of thumb? Because there are some situations that have,
Different.
yes,
So
but in some things, there's a rule of thumb that you follow, and you should know that.
So here is a question for you. You started your trade, to learn your trade at the age of 13.
30.
And you would have learned your trade, worked your way up, gain knowledge, gain competence. What obtains today that is different in terms of the process of learning that is different to when you learned your trade? Because I'm asking that because listening to what you're saying and how things unfold now, I suspect that there might be some differences. Suspect?
Yeah.
Okay. What's
Means and
different?
methods.
In terms of the training. No, in terms of the accessing of training. What I mean is there was a pathway that you had to go through. You had to be an apprentice. You had to do this, you had to do that. What happens today?
I went by a local guy in the village. And so
Who clearly knew what he was doing.
I wouldn't say clearly, but as the adage says, a one-eyed man is a king in a blind man's land. Okay? And so,
Okay, sure.
because after you develop your training further,
Mm-hmm.
you really get
Realize
to know.
that,
Yes.
that some of the things may not have been the
Right.
best.
Yes, I used to train with this person, but the person used to send me to buy rum every time he do something technical. So if he's cutting a rafter, he said, go buy a half pint, go buy the rafter don't cut. And then so I now have to just put it against the next word and just mark it. So I never know how he come up with it. Okay? Then after working with this guy, and he never pay me, but I never worry because I always thought that is that my mother should pay him to teach me. Money was not something that
I had to pay him to teach you?
that's what I thought. Because he's giving me
The knowledge.
information, yes, and we should be paying for it. And so
The skills to buy rum.
he never pay me, so I've never really worried
Okay.
because I thought he's doing something for me.
Doing your favor, right?
Yes. Yes, so every opportunity I get, I cash in. And my thing is that once I have it in here, I can always use it and I can make the money that I want.
And so after him, then what?
I went to the next gentleman.
And he?
Oh man, that he is excellent. And then he showed whatever he's doing, he call us, yes, show us how we arrive by it. And this is a person that will cut all the rafters, the ground, before we go up and put up any profile, sit down, work it, calculate it, cut the rafters, and then tell us put them in.
And then after that?
Then after that, I went on my own. Then when I started working for...
Who determined it was time for you to go on your own?
Huh?
Who determined it was time for you to go on your own? You felt you had enough?
Me, yes,
He
because
encouraged you.
at the time I could build a house, a wood. At 16 years of age, I could build a wooden house. Because remember, I wasn't being trained in concrete and
Right,
things like that. It's carpentry.
Carpentry, yes.
At that time, the carpentry that we was doing is mortise and tenant. And so we mortise and we pin everything with a wooden pin, right? And so we put up a house.
So that means some of the houses you built then are still standing today, I suspect.
House still stand, yeah. Yeah.
I actually know what y'all are talking about.
No. Yeah.
You understand? So at that time, I get what you call vintage carpentry. You know, up to now, some carpenters don't know how to build the 2 half doors with the commanding doors and what you do to and how to make a bar.
Wow, Petra.
What are you talking about? I grew up in these kind of houses. Okay, you know what? I'm not exactly 72, but I grew up in these kind of houses. Okay.
Now they do panel inside.
Yes.
It wasn't panel inside, and so we used to have to do what you call bead and read.
Yeah.
You have to bead all the upright.
The uprights and the sill.
Right, but it's rough wood, so we have to plane them first. So we get the thickness. So instead I get 1.5 inches, used to get 2 inches thick, right? Because the what you call it, the wood, dress wood, coming at a nominal size. So you say 2 inches, but it's really 1.5 inches.
Okay.
But the rough wood come 1.25 inches and so forth. So you have to plane it, size it, and then you put a bead. We have what you call a bead plane that make from wood, right? And that's what you use and put on the bead on the side and put them up and so forth.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's the kind of carpentry, yeah, that I
My name's Soldier. Some point, a red man. He did know.
Soldier from Point.
He only came to mind because all of what you're saying there, when I was a little girl and he was
That's what
building
you-
to the alley, he was explaining all of that. didn't he?
So-
So that's the building. yeah.
What I'm hearing from you is a pathway in terms of continual education throughout your life and your career. And that's something that I think may be a disconnect or missing from what we have now. Would you agree with that?
Well, do you still train?
No, I don't get nobody to train, nobody want to. I have a woodwork shop, I do furniture.
The question, hold on. I think she's asking if you are still learning.
No, if he's training.
Oh, if he's training.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody.
Like how he was trained.
No, listen.
So, but if somebody wanted to be trained, you would.
Yes. I actually, a young man, actually the mother called me and say, if I have anything to do. I say, well, because his son wants something to do. I said, what do you want? What do you want to do? She said, well, you want to learn a trade. I said, well, what kind of trade you learn? Because I do, I do a lot of things that within the construction industry. And so he wanted to come in the shop. So I tell him, well, okay, send him up. He came. First thing I do, I said, listen, you see this? This is the workbench. You don't sit on it. You stand around it. Okay? This is work. We don't sit on the workbench. First thing I do, I get the manuals for the table saw, the manual for all the different tools inside there, and say, listen, your first assignment is to read these things. Understand what they're all about, how you can save your life. Because if you don't understand how to operate this, you can lose a limb and so forth. Look in the area that you see caution, things that you're not supposed to do, how far you have to keep your hand out. Study these things because it's a matter between life and death. So I told him, I'm going inside to have my breakfast. Leave him with the book. When I came back out, he said, no, he's sitting like this.
On the bench?
On the bench.
So you mentioned told him not to sit on?
Yes. Okay. And all the book again. So I said, what happened? First thing I told her not to sit on the bench. And that's what you're doing. What about the book that I give you? Me finish read them. Me say finish read.
So how much books you gave him? What, 2 little ABC book?
About 6.
Little ABC book?
No, man. There's a manual. No, man. So he gave about 6 books. And he said, finish them. We say, finish them. Say, yeah. So, I tell you, okay, watch it. When you cut a piece of wood, how far are you supposed to keep your hand? He said, you never tell me. I said, but I gave you the book. I gave you the book. Okay? So, tell you, let me teach you how to sand. Teach you a sand. And when I left, go to buy some paint, and when I came back, he's sanding a bicycle frame. I give him wood to sand. He's sanding a bicycle frame.
Hey, listen.
And so I said to him, listen, you really want this trade? Eh? He tell me, no, he don't want a trade. He want to be on chauffeur. He want for one taxi.
Chauffeur, yeah.
Yeah, he want for one taxi. Some say, you want one taxi? I say, I call him mother. I say, listen, just go and take a picnic out the park.
Well, she clearly wanted him to have a trade, but she forgot to talk
a
him into
lot
it.
of time. And so from that situation, I don't give a person a job because their mother or their father come to me. If they come to me and say, send the person and let him come and ask me for a job. If he want a job, he will come. You don't come and beg a job for him.
I'm glad that you raised that because it segues nicely into this point that you have spoken about this before, where the public may not necessarily see contractors and artisans and technical people at the same level as doctors, lawyers, accountants, and so on.
Yeah, not important.
But how?
Excuse me?
That's what they think. We're incidental.
So I was going to get to the point to get your feelings on how important the construction and the people who work in the construction industry is.
Listen, you see, I don't know if you're familiar with the word of God. That's in him we live, move, and have our being.
Yes.
That's construction.
Oh boy.
That's construction. Construction touch everybody.
Agreed.
You cannot live without it. You can't do without it. Okay? But people look on it as with a stigma. If you can't read, go look at.
Well, you need to be able to read to do construction.
No, but that's how they look at it. It's a dunceman trade. So if you can't read,
Go learn.
go learn a trade.
Yeah.
Okay? And you have to understand, in the construction industry, once you becomes owner of a construction, you becomes psychologist, you become nurse, doctor, all of it.
Financier.
Father.
Because you have people that never train properly,
That you're responsible for.
and they come into the construction because that's the only place they feel that they may be able to fit in. And with their funny behavior, you have to try and carve and curve those behavior so that you don't have chaos on your job. There are times you have to pull them inside the office, sit with them, and help them. And you have to be everything to those people. The construction industry is the single most important industry. We know that from history that agriculture is said to be the first industry, right? But construction is this very close second behind of it, okay? Because you just have to look back. Without a plane, we won't have a plane if we don't have a airstrip, okay? Go right back to the pyramid and listen. Construction was there long ago. Okay, long ago.
So in terms of our construction, now we're coming forward today. To today. What are some of the positive things that you can see that has happened in our construction industry over time? We stay
Okay.
positive first.
Yeah, where's the center?
Abby's?
No, the other center that built.
The Harrison Center.
Harrison Center.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Formerly
Family Abby's? Yeah.
I think the Harrison Center is a positive
Step.
Initiative.
initiative. Whether or not it's serving its purpose is a different thing. Because I feel when you a candidate, a student, live on out of Harrison, it should not be coming to train again. That's how I see it. You should have enough practical.
So you should do the training and
You
the
should be
practical.
able to
Go to work.
go on a job go to work. You shouldn't be coming out there to do job practice again.
So the job practice should be a part of the training.
The training.
Okay.
So if you have to spend an next 2 years,
So yeah.
3 years to get yourself in the situation, so that when you graduate and leave out, you can manly go straight.
To be a subcontractor.
Yes, into the work and perform. Not to be trained again. Because a lot of them that leave from there, we still have to train them.
So
Yeah.
looking at it now in terms of the positives and how you're unveiling. And so it used to be Abby's. It's been upgraded to the Harrison Center.
Yeah.
And you're saying that they should really continue the upgrading to make sure that they're turning out
Whatever the train.
job ready
Yes.
in whatever plumbing, carpentry, masonry,
Job ready.
whatever,
Don't send them to me for me to train them again.
which is what's happening now.
Yes.
Okay. So what
When
else?
they leave from there, they're supposed to be a full-fledged plumber, because you have a system set up where they can practice plumbing.
Apprentice.
Yes, and you can say, well, they said, on your observation, and when you do your assessment, you say, well, okay, where's your? He's good. Mr. Jenkins say, I want a plumber. Here is such and such. Yes.
So what other positives now besides Harrison's?
Okay, and let me just say, based on his certification, because they should be able to be certified at a particular level, so that when you come out of there, you have a level 1, level 2, or whatever.
That doesn't happen now?
I don't know. I'm not sure with that.
I can't speak to the program itself, but I know they were trying to harmonize the TVEC like a region.
Okay,
No, that is not in place. I
Right.
can tell you
So,
that.
so I know they get some sort of certification. I can't speak to the extent of it.
okay. Because the problem we have, everybody, our carpenter, everybody our mason. And so, right, until when, yes, they come to you and they want a job, then tell you how much they want. And when you give them a job, I give a man a job. He tell me $150. I take him to a lady house to put on a lock, a deadbolt, combination, deadbolt. And he's there for 6 hours.
Earn his keep.
When not, thing is, when the lady called me and said, Mr. Vouzan, I didn't know that the guy is still there. Mr. Vouzan, the guy left, but we can't go to church. I said, why you can't go to church? He said, every time we turn the key,
Can't
It's
get
not
out the
lucky.
house.
the key now come out. And every time we lock it, we open it, I saw the key come out. I said, okay, just give me a couple of seconds, I'll be there. And I go there, and less than 2 minutes, the lock was fixed. I told him, I said, no, Mr. Vouzan, you finished? I said, yes. I said, because I know what's happening. He wanted $150, but you only have $100 competent.
I'm listening to you, son. I give you $20.
Yeah.
You can drill the hole.
Yeah, $100 competent, but you want $150.
I give it much credit.
You give
If
too
the
much
key,
credit.
if the car lock, is a $20 competence.
What are some of the other positives?
Yes.
Right? And so the training is very important. So you want people that left from can swing a door. If you know, you must know. If you're a carpenter, you must know how to swing a door. Right? Too much carpenter swing a door with on the side of the hinge is binding to the door jamb. And as soon as you paint the door can't close.
He has a lot of stories.
So here's the thing. We know that Harrison Center and all of the challenges with that, but we know it's a step in the right direction.
Yes.
What
yes,
else? What else is happening in Antigua's construction sector that we can say is a good thing?
We have good ideas. I don't know if in practice is good.
What do you see?
A housing project is good ideas.
Right.
Whether the practice,
You see the houses and them built.
yeah, you see them broke up too.
Okay, so
No.
no, but that's a useful point. So now we see them break up. So is it that we have to go rethink the project in its entirety, or is it that we need to strengthen the oversight? What do you think?
I think a key element that may be missing is the testing of the soil where some of these houses is being built.
You're
So-
worrying me, you know. And I'll say this because a certain person who sits next to me, right, and another friend of mine who is a surveyor, insist on me anytime I go to buy land as a private person for building that I need to test the soil before I put my hand in my pocket to pay for the land. So if they can know this and the government is doing a housing project in any given area, are you saying to me that we have not tested the land?
It's a lot of money involved, you see? And so
There's a lot of houses involved.
yeah, but people don't want to go down that road. Then we just scratch out the area and put in like a thing.
Because I'm asking that, listening to you from a spectator's perspective, because I'm not a technical person in this area, is that I thought when I hear the houses and them are not holding up, it was just poor workmanship. But you're saying to me, there's something deeper than poor
Yes.
workmanship.
It
Yes.
can be. It can be.
This-
It can be.
In that particular area up there, you just drive around now. You see that we haven't had any rain for a little while. You're gonna see how the area there is opening up. Because majority area we have in this country is clay.
Yes.
And there's a lot of movements take place when it comes to clay.
So you should be building differently.
Of course, the design, yes. Because remember now, when you're building a house, it's not just the strip footing and the blocks that you put around it, is the foundation now. The subsoil, the soil is a foundation, because that's what you want to go. You want
That's the
you see,
standard.
that's yeah. So if you don't go and make sure that you have solid thing for that to sit on, then you have an issue. At one time we used to just dig hole and put in a septic tank.
Back then?
Put in a septic tank, right? Okay. Then I used to do drafting and so
Right.
forth, and so I used to apply for building and so forth.
Mm-hmm. The lease, yeah.
And so at one time we just draw a 9x3 or so and put it in and just run the water anyway. Now you have to do percolation tests, right? You have to see what volume,
Here's a
water,
photo.
base, and occupancy, you know, how much people is going to occupy, the potential occupancy for the place. And so that you want to know if you have, let's say, for reason, you have the maximum, the volume of water when people start to bathe and different things, whether or not what you have over the system that you designed can take it. And so you have to take all these things in consideration. Some people, listen, I see a particular place, I'm not going to say, well, all the water run right out in the road.
So a question. When we are choosing, one of the things that we're doing now in Antigua that's very popular is that as a policy, well, let me not say policy, we are converting a lot of areas that were once agriculture into housing.
Yes.
Is it that we need to do more work in those areas
That particular,
to make them housing ready?
you see the housing in Painters, for instance, it's cane ground. Remember I told you all these area come
Right.
there, it's cane. And they used to plow them all the time. So the soil, topsoil, is high. Right? So you have to go down deep in order to get solid place to
Yeah, but when you go down deep to get this place to go, then how high up you have to come out to make sure that when the rain comes, you don't fall back on you.
There's where the design come from. You have an engineer will say, the engineer will say, well, look, watch out. It's not feasible
They're expensive.
to go that deep and then build blocks come right up.
That is expensive.
Let's design column system,
Oh, okay.
right?
All right.
And open, put your foot in so you get a sound footing down there, and then build the structure. Come up.
Okay, I asked you about the area, right? But I'm going to ask you about the area, but it's only between me and you. It's not Colin and the son over here.
Okay.
So, like over by where Dunbar's and so on used to be,
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
that would be considered. I don't know if the soil was tested and all of that before we converted to housing, but do you think
You
you can
think they have to
easily
do a lot
build
of work?
housing?
They're gonna have to do a lot of work over there in terms of engineering. Otherwise, on that,
I have an issue.
Over time.
something of a fly up in the ceiling. Right? Okay.
All right, so as we're about to wind down, Vouzan, and I think it would not be great to have this and not talk about costs, because we start talking about costs.
Mhm.
Oh.
A lot of people are very concerned about the cost of construction now. Where do you sit on this?
Well, the cost for construction now is not something that we have control over. Right? Just like in Antigua, you import a huge amount of things that you use. And so whatever happen over there is going to
Impact.
affect, yes.
So how you can understand this and so many people can understand this? You know what? Carry on. Go ahead. Sorry about it.
Right? And so it's going to have a rippling effect. And so when I remember, I don't know if Colin remember, some time ago, maybe I think it was just before COVID, when steel was just scarce. And they said that the Chinese people buy up all the steel. I bought 2 bungles of steel.
$1,000?
$8,000 a piece.
Oh, I got caught with that when I was doing my home. So I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
The bundle of
Okay.
steel almost
But-
triple.
Why I had to do it? I don't make steel. We don't make steel here. And if the costs go up over there, it affect you.
But then they might say to you, okay, fine, that's material, but why your labor costs so expensive?
Hold on, before you answer him. Why, Mike, let me rephrase the question a little. Why is it that we have to always pin labor costs to a proportion of the material cost and they can't be a flat cost for labor?
Okay. Before time, they used to use a system where they call percentage. And so you used to say 75% of the material, 80% of the material, and so on. But if you really look at it, it's really a very unwise way to do costing. And the reason why I said that, imagine that we're going to build this house, okay? And I'm charging you 80% of the material cost, which you agree.
Right.
And then you go and buy a door for $3,000 or $4,000. Would you want to pay me 85% for $3,000 door to hang it?
No.
No.
Wow.
So what do we do today?
So let's say I go and buy something that costs $20,
Right.
but it take me about a day based on the nature to deal with it. And would you want to pay me 80% of a $20 just because you buy it? You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So to the extreme, it's not fair. So we work man hours when we work in
Estimates.
to bring up an estimate. And so how much hours you feel that you may use to
Okay.
do X, Y, Z. And inflation dictate a lot of costs in terms of labor. Because I used to charge $120, but things gone up when we go to the supermarket.
That is true.
So me can't continue.
It's not just the labor costs, it's the ice on the water, it's the
Yes.
profits on over, it's the telephone, it's the secretary in the office.
All these
I
things.
understand all. That's what I'm asking is.
No, I have to mention it, Peter, because some guys don't do that.
Wait a minute, don't do it.
They don't put that in the estimate.
No. You know how much people don't charge for water and ice? And when I calculate, you buy 2 bags of ice for $5 a piece.
A day.
And you buy 2 something of water for about $10 a piece
A day.
It adds up.
a day. By the end of the month, how much money you don't spend?
Well,
But you don't have it in. And you know,
contributing to
and
the
you-
production cost.
and you know what that does? Remember, every mistake you make as a contractor affect your profit.
Yeah.
All the arrows point at your profit. Nothing else, because you still have to put in the 4 doors that the house asks for. You still have to put in the 10 blocks that he asks for. But your profit now is have to take a beating, because you have to pull that money from there to try to fill in for the mistake that you make.
So as we close then, and this has been very interesting, Colin and I have to talk because we need to part whichever number we're going to reach. What would be your one thing that you'd want to tell young people looking to go into your industry?
Yeah. Well, the construction industry is a very lucrative business. Based on stats from America, it's about $3.9 trillion annually. And if it's something you want to go into, it's a matter, do not, because everybody is not book smart, like PG, right?
Yes.
Okay. Some people is on the practical side, right? And so find a niche. Find where you know you can fit in best. Still study. Get degree if you have to. Because in the construction industry, not only have to do with blocks and carpentry, it has to do with architects. Because remember now, the construction industry carry the architect, the engineer, the manufacturer, all these people, the lawyers, all these people is hinged on what the construction industry do. Even the government pay attention to what is happening in the construction as to how the country is doing in its economy. So it's a lucrative area. Go into it, study well, get proper training, and so that when you move into this particular area, you know exactly what you're getting into. It's a high risk industry. Yes.
It is.
The construction industry is very high risk. If, as a contractor, you get 10% of the estimate that you make, you're a successful construction company.
I'm biting my lips because if I ask a question, we're going to go into the next episode.
If
So
you get 10% of the estimate that you sit down and do in your office, you are a successful construction company.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, this is
we're reluctantly wrapping.
yes.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it was one of these fruitful conversations that we need to continue because construction industry impacts the economy heavily. Tourism, manufacturing, agriculture, healthcare, you name it, it is there. And it's one of the skill sets we need in order to improve our human resource in Antigua and Barbuda. Infrastructure. So thank you very much for staying time with us at Iron Economy with our guest, Austin Vouzan. This has been your host, Colin John Jenkins, and
The spectator being blown away to them.
thank you very much.